Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome viewers around the world. This is Garri Bagdasarov, and I will be hosting 4GO today, but I will not be alone. We have our regular guest today. Let's start with Mr. Glenn Gordon. Glenn, how are you?
I'm hungry.
You're hungry. Why are you hungry right now?
Because I just got home from work and I haven't eaten yet.
In
fact, I am literally eating a bowl of soup as we speak.
What kind of soup is it?
Lentil soup.
Lentil?
Yes.
Oh yeah, you're vegetarian. I forgot.
you were about to ask me something. What were you about to ask me?
I was gonna ask you, how has work been for you?
Work's been great. I'm working at Universal Studios, and there's a chance I might be playing Dr. Doom soon. So that would be awesome.
That is amazing.
That would be amazing.
I can picture you as Dr. Doom with your strong, manly voice.
I know, right? I'm 6'7". I'm perfect for the role. At least as a typecast, I still have to do the costume fitting, the audition, all of that fun stuff. So it'll be fun.
Well, I hope that you get it. I really
hope so
do.
Too. I hope so too.
Then we can call you Dr. Doom instead of Commissioner.
Yeah. There we go.
Also joining us today is our own Mr. Ben Shillabeer-Hall. Ben,
how are you? I'm not too bad, thank you. And how are you today, Garri?
I'm decent. I'm a little nervous, hosting. This is the second time I've hosted a podcast. I hosted an episode of RDGH back in the day. If you guys remember that.
It's okay. We believe in Garri.
Thank you. I appreciate. You know what? I'm gonna I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. I'm just Ben, how have you been this week?
Not too bad. It's been a good week, to be honest. Last week was an interesting week. I know we didn't record last week, so I went down to London last week for PlayStation Universe. Well, 2 weeks from now, by the time this goes live.
Oh, sweet.
So yeah,
we'll talk about what you experienced there.
Yeah,
if that's okay.
Yeah, no problem.
All right. Well, we have a interesting show. We did miss a week, so there's some news to catch up on. There's some NPD stuff to discuss. Glenn loves his NPD stuff. so we'll get to that pretty soon. But first, let's get to some Twitter. First, Twitter we have from Aaron Johnson at Animation Aaron. He says, "Thanks for reading my tweet on this week's episode, which was about 2 weeks ago. You guys are the best." Well, thank you for listening to us. Without you, we would be nowhere.
See, he's right. We are the best.
We are the best. Go team.
Go team.
I could say we're better than all the rest.
we're the very best, like no one ever was.
I agree.
To catch okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So thanks for that, Aaron. We appreciate it. Our next tweet comes from Ali Shan at Snova34Z. He says, "If a AAA game is good but breeze through it because it's too short, would you feel disappointed paying $60 for it?" I'm assuming he's talking about all the controversy with The Order 1886, which a lot of people have claimed takes about 5 hours to get through. What do you guys think? Let's ask you, Ben. Is it worth it?
Meh. For one thing, I don't know how people beat it in 5 hours. There must have been super speedy run speeds, because I'm at chapter 9. I'm at 10 hours.
I think it's if you don't count the cutscenes as gameplay time, then maybe I can see it.
Yeah.
What about?
I enjoy looking at the graphics.
It is a very pretty game. Incredibly pretty game. What about you, Glenn?
Let me be honest. I really haven't given The Order a second look. Really, because when they announced it and when they released some trailers, I did look at the trailers, but it didn't seem like my kind of game. but I was willing to give it a try based on what the reception was of it when it came out, and the order's taken some heat. Not just for being too short, but I've heard things about the gameplay. I've heard things about the. Well, no, actually, I haven't heard a lot about the cutscenes themselves. I've heard that the cutscenes are pretty nice, but I've just heard a lot of negative stuff about the game in general, and reviews coming out for it are not very strong. So, that's disappointed, but. In order to answer his question, in order to answer your question here, Fonz, yes, I would feel very disappointed paying $60 for it. A while back, I used to be a huge Sonic the Hedgehog fan. In fact, I still am. It's just that they're not making much Sonic the Hedgehog stuff. And Sonic and the Black Knight came out, and I had a Nintendo DS Lite, a black one. And I hadn't really played my DS Lite very much, and I really wanted the next Sonic game, so I went ahead and traded in my DS Lite so that I could get Sonic and the Black Knight. And I'm playing Sonic and the Black Knight, and I'm actually really enjoying it. That game got a lot of flack because it gave Sonic something that Sonic probably shouldn't be doing. Like, he doesn't go around with a sword. But, I mean, the story was fun, it was a fun game, and I was enjoying it. And all of a sudden I realized, just suddenly out of nowhere, the very same day that I got it, the very same afternoon, that I was in the final battle of the entire game, and I was so disappointed I didn't even finish the game. I was at the final battle, I didn't even finish, I just put it down. So yeah, I would feel extremely disappointed paying full price or giving up anything valuable for a game that's just too short, because then it's not worth your time. You pay $20 for a DVD because a movie's like an hour and a half, 2 hours of entertainment. Whereas, and to tell the truth, it doesn't take as much effort to make as a video game. So, I mean, when you're paying $60 or when you're trading in something valuable for it, and you just cut through it like that, I mean, you might as well have just bought a movie. I mean, I would feel very disappointed.
Very, very good points. I actually bought it, I played it, I finished it. I loved it. I think it's totally worth the $60. But to answer the question, to me, it always comes down to how much I enjoyed my time with the game. Like, I can buy a game for $60 that lasts 40 hours, and if, say, 35 of those hours I was bored out of my mind, then it's not worth it to me. So, to me, if I had a lot of fun playing, like, a 2-hour game, and I enjoyed it a lot, and it moved me and all that stuff, then I think it is worth $60.
No, I loved Infamous Second Son, but Infamous Second Son was about, like, 10 hours or so.
Yes.
And the thing about Infamous Second Son, though, is there's high replayability, you know? You can go back and play the story again a completely different way. So, I mean, even if you can't, like, a story like Uncharted, the Uncharted games are usually about 10 to 12 hours. And yet, I absolutely adore, everyone loves the Uncharted games, you know? So, there is something to what you're saying. It's about the quality of the game. And if a bunch of the game is cutscenes, you know, I can understand why people are disappointed with the order.
Yeah, you know, I always go back to a game, Heavenly Sword. I don't know if you guys ever played that. It was kind of a close launch title for the PS3, but that game was about 3 hours long. But that game was awesome. I loved every minute of that game, and I think it was totally worth $60. And a lot of people actually really enjoyed that game themselves. They wanted a sequel for a long time, but it was a short game. But its production values were so high, and it was such a well-done game that people enjoyed it. Another one, this one I actually use quite a bit when it comes to short games. Metal Gear Solid 4 Guns of the Patriots, which is probably the highest-rated PlayStation 3 game, Game of the Year, all this stuff. It's one of the best games ever made, according to a lot of people. But what people don't realize is, yeah, back then, cutscenes were extremely long. I mean, the final cutscene in that game was about 45 to 50 minutes long. It was huge. But if you skip all the cutscenes in that game, which you can do, when you finish it and you get the playtime, your playtime for Metal Gear Solid 4 is going to be about 3 to 4 hours. And obviously the quality of the games is going to differ, but if you're talking about how short the game is and if it's worth $60, a lot of people consider Metal Gear Solid 4 one of the greatest games ever made, and yet technically it's only a 3-hour game. So, but thank you, Snova. We appreciate your question. Let's move on here. We have one more coming here from Ahmed Amio, the Predman at Gabalto. I believe that's how you pronounce it.
That's how I've been pronouncing it. Sorry if I'm wrong. That's what it looks like.
Yeah, so am I. He's asking, I think he's asking, there's a rumor about both Mass Effect 4 and Star Wars Battlefront 3 being an Xbox One exclusive. Have you guys heard anything about this? Or if you have or haven't, do you think there's a possibility this can be?
To be honest, I have not heard much about it, but that's in part because I have been a little disconnected from the video game world. I've been working a lot, trying to move up in the company I'm working at, so which is Universal. So I haven't been paying as much attention as I usually do. If that's true, I think that's a mistake. I mean, great news for Microsoft for sure, but that's a mistake because Mass Effect has been on the on PlayStation, and so is Star Wars Battlefront. So I mean, we heard about this back when I think it was Tomb Raider. One of the Tomb Raider games came out and announced it's going to be exclusive to Xbox One, and that's terrible because that's terrible news because you have people who are used to playing it on their system and who kind of count it as part of their game library, and so to suddenly take that away from them, that's always going to leave bad blood. I don't know for how long, but it's always going to leave bad blood. So that's if that's true, that's a huge loss for Sony and for PlayStation gamers. The biggest loss, I think, would be for the gamers. So I don't know if that's true. If it is, I think that's not a very good thing for gamers. Great thing for Microsoft, though. So we'll see.
Yeah. Now, what about you, Ben?
Congratulations, Microsoft, on spending a lot of money on a game that we'll probably get in 6 months anyway. Enjoy your exclusivity. I'll enjoy my 6 months. Pretty much Game of the Year edition with the bug fixes and the DLC bundled in.
It's a good way of putting it.
That is a very good way of putting it. That was sweet and to the point.
I personally don't see this happening. Rumor or not, I don't think EA will make the same mistake they kind of made with Titanfall in a way. People have been looking forward to Battlefront 3 for a very, very long time, and I highly doubt EA is going to put that. It might get the DLC before Sony does, but other than that, I don't see it happening. Mass Effect 4, they would have done it with 2 and 3. I don't see why they would go Microsoft exclusive with 4. But you never know. Like Ben said, if they want to fork over the money, I can't imagine the price that EA will put on that to get it exclusive.
Well, if they were to do something like that, now would be a great time because they've already finished the huge saga that's already been in Mass Effect with Commander Shepard. So now they're basically turning over a new leaf. It's a new story, a new everything. So, I mean, if they were to do something like this would be a solid time to do it.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I mean, Mass Effect 4 and Star Wars Battlefront 3 can move a lot of units for Microsoft. Those are huge games that a lot of people have been waiting for quite a while. We have one more tweet. This also comes from Ahmed. He is asking, how is gaming going to be like in the future? Do you see us using the VR headsets to shoot in games or climb, etc.? How do you think gaming is going to be in the future? Like, we know the VR stuff is already in development, it's coming out, but we also believe, I personally believe, I think some of you guys will agree with me, that not every game is going to be very good in VR due to motion sickness and a lot of accidents happening. Well, what do you think, Glenn?
Define the future is what I have to say.
Let's go next gen.
Next gen. I think it's going to be pretty much like it is now. The thing is, as time passes, everyone seems to think that we should be continuously reinventing everything. every once in a while it comes out, oh, this technology is old. And so, we shouldn't use it because we can do something else. And for no reason. I mean, the technology is fine, but it's old. And so for some reason that means we should stop using it. And that's not necessarily true, that saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That kind of works. And sometimes simple is better than complex. So you see us now, we're doing the 3D thing, we're doing the VR thing, we've done the motion gaming thing with the Wii, and all of this stuff is good. All of this stuff has had influences on current gaming technology. Take a look at the DualShock 4. We have 6-axis, we have touchpads. But at its core, the DualShock 4 is exactly the same as any other video game controller, It's a remote that you hold in your hands that has buttons and a similar layout to how it's always been. At its core, I'm pretty sure gaming is going to be the same. Like Garri said, VR is not for everyone. It's not for every gamer. It's making people sick. Yes, I think that we will be able to use VR in the future. I don't think it's going to be the main attraction when it comes to gaming. I'm pretty sure, because, like I said, simple's best. Sometimes simple is best. And it's just easy to just have the controller there and control everything with a controller, or a keyboard for that matter. So to tell the truth, as far as gaming, as far as you're described with like a VR headset, yeah, those things will probably exist. But at its core, I'm pretty sure that controlling gaming is not going to change that much.
What about you, Ben?
Well, we already know how gaming will change. The PS9 was the PS2 showed off the PS9. That's the future of gaming right there.
There was that one commercial we saw. That was great.
if in the future, if we don't have nano machine powered computers that link up to my brain and do sensing smells and stuff like that, then I'm going to be completely disappointed with Sony. That is false promises.
Yeah, well, I think our expectations just have a way of distorting things. Like, what is it? It's 2015. And back in the day, we were seeing things that were like, oh, by 2000, we'll be on hoverboards. And, well, there are flying cars. There is one called, what's it called? Aero Mobile. It is literally a flying car. Just search for Aero, like AERO, and then Mobile, like the gas station. And that is literally a flying car that's in development. So, I mean, the legislation's not even set for that yet, so don't look for it to be on your streets this year. But, I mean, the technology's coming, but we're not walking around and carrying our hoverboards, you know what I mean? We're not in this big futuristic thing where we're wearing all white, shiny suits and everything is run by technology completely. We're not there yet. So, I think we just have to recognize that barrier between our expectations and reality.
Now, do you guys think that VR is going to be successful, or is it going to be like another PlayStation move? Or
I think
another peripheral, or will developers actually utilize it? Because if you really think about it, they're going to have to compromise some stuff to make sure their game runs in VR. Like, you have to consider a lot of stuff that goes into VR and how it's going to work. So do you think companies will embrace VR, or are they just going to kind of steer away from it because it's just not going to help them, at least money-wise? Like, how much more is it going to cost to make the game, and what sacrifices will they have to make to their games to get it to function properly in VR?
I like this, Garri. You're asking good questions. You're asking good questions. You want to go first this time, Ben?
Yeah, go ahead. Ben, what do you think?
I don't think we'll see much difference in costs or development changes for it, because it's pretty much implementing 3D. But there will be graphical issues with having a game running in virtual reality compared to a standard game. But I can see us seeing more and more indie VR titles than actual mainstream this generation. And then I can see there being more. I actually think we'll skip a lot of VR and go straight to holographic, like Star Trek tablets eventually. I think that will happen in like 15 years. 15, 20 years.
Yeah, but don't you think, like, say, for example, say if Nintendo does VR, they embrace VR, and they make a Mario game. We play Mario, if you look at it sideways, the 2D, like old school Mario. If you do VR, you're going to have to put yourself in Mario's view.
Well, if you play 3D Mario 64 in virtual reality,
Yeah, but to me, that's not really virtual reality. Because to me, virtual reality is it's like first person. You're seeing what they're seeing.
that's what I said. You could play Mario 64 in first person.
Right now, you can go and play Mario.
No, I'm just saying that if Nintendo did it, that would be how they would do it.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like, you have a third-person game where you see Mario, and now you have to make it so it's in first person. That's like a whole different camera angle that you have to create now for this game.
Well, you don't have to. Yeah, I do see what you're saying. I understand with the idea of virtual reality, you are in the game. That's why it's virtual reality. However, I can totally see them just using the VR headset as a visual output, like a monitor, and you just use normal controls, or you can control with your hands like they like to do and whatnot. I mean, it doesn't have to be a virtual reality game just because you're using a virtual reality headset. It can just be a normal game on your normal headset.
Well, that's true.
I will say that as far as this technology goes, when it comes out, there will be issues. It doesn't matter how much Oculus Rift tests it. It doesn't matter how much Sony tests it. There's going to be some defects. There's going to be some issues. There's going to be some bugs, and they'll work it out as it goes. However, all of that said, at least as far as Sony's concerned, yes, this is definitely another PlayStation move. Because, let's face it, Sony is not very good at marketing its new technology. It's a very creative company. It's not afraid to innovate. That stuff is great. They are terrible at actually selling it and getting people to care about it. That's the problem. There's always a rush of interest, and then it all dies because no one grabs a hold of it. So there's that where Sony is concerned. But don't forget that this technology is not just Sony's. Sony came to the table after Oculus did. And Oculus has really been the main driving force behind all of this virtual reality stuff. So not only that, but Oculus has now been purchased by Facebook. We're seeing other virtual reality headsets. I think Samsung's making one for one of their phones. So this technology is much bigger than Sony right now. Although Sony is a major player, so there is that advantage. If the PlayStation thing does not work out at first, the technology is still growing in other areas, which means that it still has a chance, even if it doesn't work on PlayStation right away. And because the technology is growing in other areas, once in other areas it's bigger, if that is to happen, then developers can see that and then come back to PlayStation's Morpheus and say, oh, well, this is now working out there. Now we can use it and give it some applications. So I think that as far as PlayStation Move and whatnot, this is probably one of the better chances for Sony to shine here. But I just shake my head at Sony sometimes when it comes to actually promoting their technology.
Oh yeah, they have had a hard time promoting the Vita in particular, but they've done a pretty good job with the PS4. They promoted the crap out of that thing.
Mm-hmm.
They're getting a lot of game commercials now. You have the PlayStation logo that appears at the end, whereas last gen it was mostly Microsoft who had those logos appear.
You know what? You know what's missing? You know what's missing? You know why they can't sell any Vitas? Listen to this. Back in the day, there was a kid named Bobby Thompson, and he is an actor. If you are familiar with That's So Raven, he played the kid Stanley that had a crush on Raven. But anyway, he played this kid called Marcus, who was in league with Kevin Butler to sell the PlayStation Portable, the PSP. And, he would go out there, he'd say his message at the end, he'd say, step your game up, and that would be it. And between him and Kevin Butler, those two people sold more PlayStations than ever. I mean, it is a crying shame that Sony released them from their contracts. I think Kevin Butler was seen playing a Wii U or something like that. The actor who plays Kevin Butler, I forget his name. He was seen playing a Wii U or something like that, and Sony canned, or something to that effect. And so, excuse me, not a Wii U, a Wii. Wii U was not out yet, I think. So, I mean, that was just Sony's best advertising campaign for PlayStation ever. Even today, people miss Kevin Butler. and Marcus for that matter, their advertising sucks. I mean, they had one recently where, you know, he's walking through and there's all this video game type stuff happening around him in his actual living space around him. And, I mean, that was kind of cool, but I don't think it doesn't stay in the head, you know? It doesn't stay in the head the way something like Kevin Butler did. So I think they really just need to, I mean, it doesn't have to be Kevin Butler. Yeah, I'd love to see Kevin Butler back with him, but, I mean, it doesn't have to be Kevin Butler. All I'm saying is they need their agencies to rethink their advertising campaigns and get something that really sticks in people's heads.
Yeah, Kevin Butler is definitely missed. I love the commercials he was in. I thought all of them were hilarious, but I think they would have been even better with the PS4. But nonetheless, you know, Sony has Project Morpheus in development. Obviously, there's the Oculus Rift that a lot of people have been able to try out already. It's been at a lot of conventions, a lot of game shows. But Microsoft is going a different route, and they're going with holograms, apparently. So the stuff they showed off at their press conference was, I think, what was it, last month? I believe it was, or earlier this month.
The Windows 10 one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was last month.
Yeah, they showed off some really cool stuff there, so we'll see what happens and who does the better job here. I personally believe that there's just going to be a lot of health complications that are going to arise with the VR stuff. Seizures will become a lot more common. Things will be breaking a lot. People will be swinging their arms around. There's just too many things to consider with VR at the moment to just sit on your chair, put on a headset, and go play Call of Duty in VR. It might cause a lot of problems. So,
I can foresee it causing some psychological things too.
Oh,
because
definitely.
it's one thing when you're looking at these things on a screen, but video games show some really crazy stuff. And when you're telling your brain that this is what you're living, I can see that causing some psychological stuff to happen.
Yeah, but then again, it could be something amazing for, you know, people who are disabled, you know, give them the ability to kind of walk and see what it feels like to walk in VR, or people afraid of heights can, you know, go skydiving in VR.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it could help a lot, but it could also cause a lot of problems. Nothing good comes with nothing bad, I guess. You can't get one without the other.
Right.
But yeah, but that is all of our tweets for this week. If you have any questions, anything you guys want to say, or just chat with us, just go ahead. We're on Twitter at 4GO. That's 4, the number 4, G, and just spell out 4G only. 4 gamers only. Mm-hmm. So those are our tweets. So let's get into some interesting news.
Ooh, can I do one? I have one. Pick me.
You can start now.
Yay! Okay.
You can go first.
Actually, this isn't really good news that I have.
No more news from you.
Oh, this is bad news. Okay, I need a moment. All right. Nielsen is an entertainment research company, and they get all sorts of different information about what's broadcast, what's bought in the world of media. So they had they surveyed people that were 13 and over and owned either a Sony PlayStation 4, Microsoft Xbox One, or a Nintendo Wii U. And they asked them the question, which of the following are the main reasons why you purchased or own your system? So let's take a run through these really quick. At number 5, people bought a Wii U because of the exclusive games and content. This was reason number 5. This is the top 5 reasons. For the Nintendo Wii U, exclusive games and content. For the Xbox One, fun factor. And for the PlayStation 4, because it's what the family wants. Okay. Number 4, Nintendo Wii U, backwards compatibility. Right? Xbox One, exclusive games and content. Which is interesting because Xbox One doesn't have... Oh, no, it does. It has some good exclusives. I've been looking at them. They just don't have as much as because I've been with PlayStation a lot. But anyway, number 4 for PlayStation 4, faster processing power. Okay. The Nintendo Wii U, number 3, price and value. For the Xbox One, faster processing power, which, by the way, was number 4 for PlayStation 4. And number 3 for the PS4 was the game library. The Wii U, better for kids, for number 2. Xbox One, innovative features. Sony PlayStation 4, Blu-ray player. Xbox One is also a Blu-ray player, by the way. And here's where it gets interesting. The number one reason why people buy their video game consoles. For the Wii U, fun factor, okay? For the Xbox One, the brand. Literally, because it's an Xbox. Because it's an Xbox. And then for the PlayStation 4, better resolution. And
Well, you need to make sure you have all those P's.
I'm reading all of this, and I am like, am I really a gamer? Like, because you'd think that games would be somewhere in the top of this list. You would hope that games are somewhere in the top of this list. Actually, Nintendo, the Wii U's are actually pretty reasonable. You have the fun factor, it's better for kids, good value, backwards compatible with the Wii, and good exclusive. That's a really solid list.
That's pretty much all game stuff right there.
That's because it can't do anything but gaming stuff, pretty much.
The Wii U.
It can't. Yeah, it doesn't support movies.
But then you have, I'm even more baffled by the Xbox One's number one reason because of the brand, just because it's an Xbox. Now I have an Xbox One, and let me be honest with you, I've really enjoyed it. There are things that Xbox does that PS4 doesn't. There are just ways that it manages its community that really make you enjoy using it, and but I'm not sure that that's what's going on here. It looks like it's an Xbox, so I want it, you know? Not because it has better games or faster processing power or anything like that. By the way, the PlayStation 4, I believe, has faster processing power right now than the Xbox One does.
No.
Doesn't it?
No, I think the CPU is slightly faster than the Xbox One and the PS4.
Oh, the CPU is?
Yeah.
Okay. So
the GPU is better in the PS4 than the Xbox One.
GPU and CPU. Okay. So I'm just really baffled. I'm confused, and I'm wishing that it was different. But there it is. Now, as far as brand goes for Xbox One, that's the one I'm focusing on because that's the one I hate the most. Followed very closely by better resolution on the PS4.
Who can argue with all those P's?
I can. It's good to like a brand. I mean, it's great that you love Xbox, and it's great that you want to buy an Xbox. But there are reasons why you like that brand, you know? There are reasons why you like that brand. To say that you just like the Xbox One because it's an Xbox, well, that's freaking great. What do you like about Xbox that's in the Xbox One? It feels like you didn't even really answer the question. Or you don't really even know how to answer the questions. Like, why do you like Xbox? Oh, because it's Xbox. That's not really an answer. So that's disappointing. But there it is. And as far as resolution on the PS4, back when we were RDGH, I went on about resolution for forever and a day. But I just wish that people wouldn't focus so hard on resolution. Because, I mean... you know, you can go outside, you can walk your dog, you can take out a pooper scooper, take his business, put it in a bag, not just any bag, like one of those gift bags, the shiny ones. You can put a bow around it, you can lace it with gold. At the end of the day, it's still dog crap. And if it's great that these games have nice resolutions and are pretty to look at, but if they're not good games, they're still dog poop. You know what I mean? So it's just disappointing to see resolution at the top of the list for the Xbox One, for the PS4, especially since the difference between the Xbox One and the PS4 in resolution is not significant at all. Which... I mean, seriously, it's really disappointing. I'm looking at this, I'm really disappointed right now. But guys, why do you have your systems? And what do you think of this? Goodness.
I'll let you go first, Ben.
I got my PS4 because it is very cool shaped.
That's even worse.
I got my PS4 because I like the PS3. I had a load of games. And I like the Sony brand. I've got a lot of games that come out for PlayStation. I will get an Xbox eventually because, again, I like the Microsoft games as well. I like all games because there are games and I get to play them and they're fun.
So I'm hearing from that you have experience with PlayStation in the past and you enjoyed their systems and
Yeah.
you enjoy the game library.
Yeah, pretty much. And if there's any games on the Xbox that I think, oh, I like the look of that, because there's quite a few in the future. I know I'd be tempted with the new Halo if it's any good.
Sunset Overdrive is fantastic.
That just doesn't. Don't know. I watched some people playing it just like grinding, but again, everyone's different. So
It's grinding.
you know, yeah, it looked like you just did a lot of grinding around rails.
Oh! I thought you meant like grinding like in an MMO or something.
Oh no, if it was like that, then that would I like that. So that would actually make me buy it. So,
Oh, okay.
but no, it didn't seem like my type of gameplay, which is fair enough. It's just not for me.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, there is the Fable game I'd be tempted with. The Halo game I'm tempted with. It's going to have Goat Simulator first, which again, you know, me and Goat Simulator.
My
So
goodness.
even the Wii U, I want the Zelda game. I want the new Legend of Zelda game. I want the Mario Maker. I'm disappointed there's going to be no new Mario until next gen. After Mario Maker.
Well,
Um,
we'll see. I mean, next gen for Nintendo could come pretty soon here.
yeah. That's why it's so tempted with the Wii U. I want it, but at the same time, it's Nintendo.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to buy it and go around the corner and find out there's a new Wii U.
Surprise! Yeah.
But still, it's as long as you bring the games, that's what's important to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got to be rectangle shaped.
It must be a parallelogram.
Yeah, that's what it's got to be.
All right. And
Or make a beep.
What about you, Gary?
Well, I have both a PS4 and a Wii U. I have a PS4 simply because I just prefer Sony. I've loved Sony since I was a kid. I love their products. I think their hardware was always very well designed. Stuck with Sony since the PS1. I thought they had awesome games. It's because of Sony that a lot of my favorite franchises even exist right now. Am I saying they probably wouldn't have existed on other consoles? No, I'm not. They probably could have, but would they have been the same? Like, would Metal Gear Solid have been such a fantastic game if it came out on Nintendo 64? You know, things like that. I just love PlayStation. Their exclusive I think are a lot better than Microsoft's. I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but that's why I like Sony. Nintendo-wise, I have a Wii U. I think the Wii U, if it had the same games that came out on the PS3 and the 360, it would have been my console of choice over either one of those. I think the Wii U is a phenomenal system, and pretty much everything that you listed on Nintendo's side, I absolutely 100% agree with. It's the fun factor of their games, their exclusives. I think are the best exclusives of any of the three companies. They're just to me, it's just fun. Like I don't feel stressed out playing any of their games except for Smash Brothers and Mario Kart when I'm playing with my friends. But other than that, they're just fun. I can just go into a Mario game and just have fun without any stress, without any, oh my god, why won't he climb on this wall? Or I shot that guy in the head. I know I shot him in the head. He didn't die. He killed me first. And there's just none of that, you know. So yeah, but that's pretty much as far as the Microsoft thing and the resolution thing for Sony. I think that's really kind of playing off of what people have read. Quite honestly, if you really bought a PlayStation 4 because it supposedly has better resolution than every console and even the PC for that matter, then I'm really sorry for you. Like, it's not gonna go higher than 1080p. You know, the PS4 right now, as it is, can't handle 4K. You know, they're gonna have to release another model that will allow it to process 4K. So, pretty much, you bought a console for something that people were allowed to do even the last gen, and that's really sad. As far as the brand name, Microsoft's brand name, you know, it's Microsoft, and there's Xbox. The Xbox name has been around for a while. It's made a name for itself, quite honestly, with the 360. So, but buying it just because of the name, that's just like, that's pretty much saying if Microsoft released a brand new Walkman that plays cassette tapes, are you going to buy that too? Because it says Xbox on it. Xbox Walkman.
That would
I
be.
kind of want it.
Sony's actually has Walkman copyrighted. I'm pretty sure. Sony is.
You know,
I would buy that.
cassette player.
Yeah, there we go.
I would actually buy that. It would be amazing. It would just be it'd be what you call it, it'd be custom SD cards shaped like cassettes. So you would actually be putting like SD cards into it, but with MP3 files, but they'd be shaped like cassettes. I would buy that.
That actually would be awesome. I'd probably buy that too. But you know what I'm saying? Just because it has Xbox on it means you're gonna buy it. That it's a little ridiculous to me, but it just shows to me that Nintendo is still kind of for the gamers, whereas Sony and Microsoft are more for the entertainment as a whole rounded system. Movies, music, games, everything. Whereas Nintendo is mostly focused on the gamers and the games right now.
But which gamers? I think that's the question, because with the Wii, the original Wii, Nintendo really displayed that its focus is shifting to younger and toward more casual gamers. Whereas people who are super serious about gaming, they might enjoy the Wii U just fine, but they will probably be gunning for an Xbox One or a PlayStation 4. Because they cater toward more, I guess, quote, serious gamers, if that makes sense.
No, I totally get it, yeah.
I'm totally not saying that if you have a Wii U, you're not a serious gamer. And even if I was, I don't see how it matters. But it's just there's a different focus and audience,
Yeah, I just think it's kind of the hardware limitations of the three. Like if say Nintendo released a console right now, a brand new console that was on par with the PS4 and the Xbox One, will third-party publishers change their mind and start releasing their games on Nintendo's new system? Or will
probably, yeah. Probably, yeah, as long as it's the same sort of architect as the PS4 and Xbox One. But the problem with that is they would then have issues with the backwards compatibility they like. The reason why they can do the backwards compatibility is because the Wii U chipset is pretty much the same chipset as the Wii, just souped up a lot.
Yeah,
it's using the same.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's using the same sort of graphics card and CPU as the GameCube. So if they changed to like the PS4 and Xbox One, they would lose their backwards compatibility unless they included that chipset, which then would mean the new, whatever you call it, Super Wii, would then be more expensive than the PS4 and Xbox One because it would have to have two chipsets instead of one. It would have to have the new Super Wii chipset and the original one, so it could be backwards.
Well, I feel like if Nintendo were to release a console that was as powerful as PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and the Wii U is actually pretty powerful. But if they were, I think that they might be able to make an emulator, wouldn't they? They wouldn't have to include the chipset. They could just emulate the software of the Wii U.
But this is the Nintendo. They don't really like using emulators. They have to, if they're getting a game running, it has to be 100% perfect, super, no lag, no nothing. It's got to be super special, super awesome, chocolatey fudged.
I like your use of multiple adjectives, including ones that sometimes make no sense but somehow still work. Did we lose him?
No, I'm still here.
Oh, he's still here. He's just giving me the silent treatment. Okay.
No, I was having a bit of a laugh.
Garri, I'll hand it back to you. Oh, before I hand it back to you, can I say one more thing real quick?
Of course.
Okay. So this I saw on N4G just before we started recording. There will be a session that Valve is having at GDC next week. It's scheduled for Tuesday, March 3rd at 3 p.m. That is the third month of the year, the third day of that month, and at 3 p.m. And so SteamFirst.com released an article saying either Half-Life 3 is confirmed or Valve is trolling us hard. And with that, I mean, I can honestly see why people might believe this has something to do with Half-Life 3. I mean, Third month of the year, third day, 3 p.m. Come on. Come on. Three numbers, number three. Come on. Really, it looks like this is a comment in the comment section. He posted a link to a description of this panel that Valve is having, and it's about the physics in video games. So it doesn't look like it's about Half-Life 3 at all.
Portal 3.
Portal, well, yeah, I mean, if it's about physics...
No. Valve does not like 3. They have never released a game that was a third part to anything.
Which is a shame.
Portal 2.9.
I think they could make some serious cash if they did. They could make a lot of gamers pretty happy if they did.
Well, yeah, they could make a lot of gamers happy, but like, do they need to make games anymore? Like, they're making so much money off Steam.
They don't need to, but I would be surprised. I would be surprised if anyone there did not want to. You know, they don't need to, and I understand they have their priorities. They have their things that they need to get done for Steam. But at the same time, I am 100% convinced that if they were to invest in that resources, in the studio, in a Valve studio again, I think they would love to go back to making games as well.
Yeah.
Because they're game people. Come on, like they've been making games. Now they're just kind of on the sidelines, like a football player that's out of the game goes and becomes a commentator sometimes. That's what they're doing. I think that if given the chance, given the right circumstances, I think they'd love to make more video games.
Yeah, I agree, but right now people are just grasping at straws. They're finding coincidental things that don't exist. I'm sorry.
Although I admit this was a pretty good one. And you know what's interesting? The room number is 304. Like, come on, I mean...
If it isn't a coincidence, then they're trolling them.
It's a pretty good coincidence, I'm not going to lie.
You do know the fact that there is no floor 3 in the actual Valve building.
Whatever, Valve. Yes, there is. They just named it something else. You can
No, the elevator goes 1, 2, 4.
Yeah, I know, but 4 is actually the third floor. Like, you can call a stick a snake, but it'll still bite you if you let it, you know? It's still the third floor. Doesn't matter what they call it.
Anyway, when has Valve made... What's the last time Valve made an actual game? Team Fortress 2 was a mod. Counter-Strike was a mod by someone else. Left 4 Dead was a mod by someone else.
No, Left 4 Dead 2 was developed... Well, it was developed by a different studio they published.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2 was the last game they made.
Yeah, and even then, it's very questionable because all the add-ons that other people made for Half-Life.
Half-Life 2 came out before Portal 2, didn't it?
Yeah, quite a bit.
So Portal 2 was the last one they made.
Portal 2 was a mod by someone else, and then they bought out the company.
Okay, gotcha.
So technically they made it, but they bought out the company after it was made, so...
Look, if there's anything that they're doing at this press conference, they're probably, like you said, talking about physics and probably discuss a little bit about the Steam game.
That's literally what it is. The title of the panel is called Physics for Game Programmers, Physics Optimization Strategies. Doesn't sound like it has anything to do with any game. In particular, it feels like it's just about ways to make games and make them better.
Now, they will totally troll people if they show, like, a brand new looking Gordon messing around with physics and some new engine. That'll get people riled up, for sure. But this is not announced the game. But, yeah. Like, people just grasping at straws. They want it so bad, Valve is not going to do it. I'm sorry.
If they did, they'd probably call it Half-Life 4. I mean,
they don't even put a number on it. They'll just put like a subtitle behind it.
Half-Life Forever.
Yeah.
Half-Life Forgotten.
All right, Gary, the floor is yours once again, sir.
All right, that was fun. Oh, man. All right, well, we had a tweet about exclusivity, and a lot of people remember the bombshell that Microsoft dropped of announcing that Rise of the Tomb Raider was exclusive to Xbox One, at least for the time being. Who knows, really? Well, our favorite analyst, Michael Patcher, decided to chime in on the situation.
Oh, goodness.
He did an interview with Gaming Bolt. So I'm going to read kind of the stuff he says, and he's pretty much talking about what he believes it costs Microsoft to secure the exclusivity for Rise of the Tomb Raider. So I'll start with this. He says, back in 2007 through 2009, when Rob Dyer was the head of third-party relations at Sony, he told me that Microsoft was paying publishers for these one-month exclusives. And the most famous was the Call of Duty map packs that always came out 30 days earlier on the Xbox 360. And Rob said the amounts that they were paying were ridiculous, and Sony wasn't able to match and get those DLCs the same day. Sony had to outbid Microsoft to get 30 days earlier exclusivity, and he said it just wasn't worth it to them. He goes on to say, I think he turned out to be wrong. He's not there anymore, but I think he turned out to be wrong. And I think Microsoft continues to use this, well, he calls it a trick. I just call it a business decision. That trick to pay up for limited time exclusives. And so whatever they paid Square Enix, I'm sure Square Enix did the math and feels that they're whole. They're going to sell probably a few less units on the PlayStation and a few more units on the Xbox. But the amount of money they got up front offsets whatever the net loss in sales is. And Microsoft is probably paying millions of dollars, probably not hundreds of millions of dollars, but probably as much as $10 million, maybe more, for the exclusivity of Rise of the Tomb Raider. That is a lot of money for something that may not be 100% exclusive to your console. Now, we know Microsoft is helping them develop it. To what extent, we don't know. What do you guys think of this? Glenn, let's start with you.
Okay, Michael Pachter. I love this guy. I was with him at first because he was quoting somebody else. And I don't have any reason to disbelieve what he had to say when he's quoting somebody else. And yeah, I mean, this exclusivity stuff, it's not cheap. But he did kind of lose me a bit once he started getting into what he thinks, him himself, personally, what he thinks. Because he said, what was it he said? He said, yeah, they'll sell a few less on PlayStation?
Yeah, he said he believes that, well, from what he thinks, Square Enix is probably thinking, is they'll sell less units on PlayStation than they would on Xbox.
No, he said a few. He said a few.
Yeah, a few less units.
And that's where I'm having a problem here, because the rumor at the time when it was announced was that it would be exclusive to the Xbox One for about a year. Is that right?
No, when it was first announced, they straight up said exclusive only on Xbox One.
Okay, but they a couple weeks later they turned that around and something happened. They said, "Oh, for now," or something like that. It's temporary. And the rumor that I heard was that it was going to be exclusive to the Xbox One for 6 months to a year, something like that. And see, that's where things are going to... That's where a few doesn't make any sense, because when you're exclusive to one console for that long, you know, when a game comes out, there's a lot of excitement for that game. There are a lot of purchases really, really, really quickly. The PlayStation's going to miss out on that completely. You know? And so when this game does come out 6 months to a year later, guess what? It'll already have been around the block. There's not going to be that big spark of interest again like there was when it first came out. You know, people have already heard about it. They've already read the reviews. They might have already played it with a friend. You know, they've already might have already bought an Xbox One and played it themselves. You know, it's believe me, it's more than a few. A few is not. It's going to be a significant drop in sales for the PlayStation 4. And I guess whatever Microsoft paid, whether $10 million or $100 million or whatever it is, whatever they paid must have been worth that to Square, because, I mean, they would have had to make up for that loss in sales somehow. You know, and they proposed an amount to Square, and Square said, yeah, Square's basically betting that the money that they got up front will make up for the money that they lose on that system. And so if that is $10 million, if they're thinking that loss is probably a little less than $10 million, that's a big loss. That's a really big loss. That's a lot of games that they're not going to be selling on the PlayStation 4, not a few. So, That's where he started to lose me. And what was the part directly after that, Gary?
He said about the amount of money they. He says the amount of money they got up front offsets whatever the net loss in sales will be.
Right. That's the goal. That's the goal, to make up for what the company's losing by not selling any games on that system. So that is significant. And to tell the truth, if you ask me, I think they're probably going to lose more than. I mean, they might not really know it, but because they're not even taking the chance. But I think that they probably would have made more than that on the PlayStation 4. Because that's a big deal. Once that game finally launches, it is not going to sell as well as they're thinking on that system. Yeah, a lot of people will probably buy it, but it's not going to be that big a deal 6 months to a year down the road after it's already been out that long. And again, this is all assuming that it's been out that long. Again, the whole 6 months to a year thing was a rumor. If it happens to flip over to PlayStation a month after, it's not going to be that big a deal. Yeah, then it'll be a few. But if that period of time between launch on one console and launch on another is that long, then I don't think it really was as worth it as Michael Pachter's making it out to be.
Yeah, well, yeah, I kind of agree with you there, but few, obviously, it's probably just, he says few is 3, but
yeah, few is 3, but
is it 3? Is it 3,000? Is it 3 million? We don't know. But I see the decision Square made. I know they didn't make the sales for the Tomb Raider reboot that they wanted. It didn't meet the expectations, their sales projections, and they said that it cost them a lot of money to make that game. So I can see why Square would do this, especially if the money was really good. Why not?
Because it's guaranteed money up front.
Yeah, so they're pretty much getting paid right now straight up. Mm-hmm. So plus whatever profits they can make from that. What about you, Ben? What do you think of this?
I'll go back to my previous thing about Mass Effect. Enjoy spending 30 million or whatever amount of money you spend, Microsoft, because chances are it's going to come to the PlayStation eventually, and we'll get the version that will be less buggy. The DLC will be included because the fact that we had to wait, so it would be as an apology, and we'll probably get something exclusive maybe as well. So for your 30 million, you've got the first few sales. You'll sell a few consoles more, but you'll also, for those that already have the console, chances are a lot of people are smart enough to realize that there's not many real exclusive third-party games anymore. Eventually, it is going to come to your console. So unless it's a game that you're really excited for, you're not going to rush out. You're just going to wait until the superior version comes out on your console. So yeah, enjoy spending 30 million for a little bit of a sales lead for a couple of months before people rush out to buy the whatever version comes out on the PlayStation or Wii U or vice versa. Yeah, Xbox.
Now, Ben, I totally see where you're coming from with this, but I feel the need to remind you, gamers are not always patient. I mean, you're talking about people who went and spent $400 or $500. Literally millions of people spent $400 or $500 to buy the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One within the first week of launch, before any really worthwhile games were even out for them to just sit on their shelves.
That's the thing. That's when the hardcore do purchase it. You gotta remember that that's the hardcore will rush. Like me, I rushed out to get mine straight away because I like my PlayStation. I know I'll get the games eventually. That doesn't really affect games like that because a lot of people that knew that it was coming will rush out to buy it straight away because they're a fan of it. A lot of people think that because it's exclusive that people are going to suddenly turn around and rush out and buy it. As soon as it was announced as time exclusive, the people that were going to rush out and buy it have already rushed out and bought it because brand.
Right, because they've already got the Xbox.
Yeah.
So that does nothing for the PlayStation people.
No, but eventually, if PlayStation does get it, there'll be more chances of people actually going out to buy a PlayStation.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the Xbox. Timed exclusive can actually help the competitive console as well as the. It's a bit of a wait, but chances are they'll think, okay, I'm going to get the same game with other games. Because chances are, if it's timed exclusive, you're going to get a bundle in 6 months' time when the game does get released on the other console.
Right. That's actually a really good point. I hadn't really thought of it that way. Like, timed exclusivity can be helpful to the competitor as well. That's a good observation.
Well, kind of playing off of this, Game Informer had an interview in their magazine with the new boss of Crystal Dynamics, Daryl Gallagher. He kind of went on to talk a little bit more about their deal with Microsoft. He said that Microsoft is actually publishing the title, not Square Enix. They're handling all the marketing and all the distribution for the game as well, which is very interesting. So it doesn't seem Square pretty much just owns the license and they'll make profits from it, but they're not really doing much else with it from the way it sounds.
Well, they're developing it, right? They're making the actual game.
No, Crystal Dynamics is making the game, but Microsoft is publishing the game.
Okay.
So it seems Microsoft is fully funding it themselves.
That's interesting. So Square doesn't have to do anything. It just sits there and makes money.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much, yeah.
How bad? Well, now it's really, really clear why Square wanted to do this. Now it's crystal clear.
There is more. There is more. He also goes on to say the deal also means Crystal Dynamics can tap into Microsoft's hardware-specific expertise to help with the development of the title. Gallagher said, from the start, Microsoft employees have shown initiative to help Crystal Dynamics with the project, asking things like, how can we help and what do you need? So pretty much, since they're publishing the title, I would expect them to really be all behind it. In the interview, Gallagher also talks about Rise of the Tomb Raider could eventually come to PlayStation consoles sometime in the future. We know that Microsoft's exclusivity deal for the game has a duration, but he can't say for how long or if it's even forever. So he says there's a chance, but that's not necessarily guaranteeing that it will. I believe that chance will come if Square Enix decides to, much kind of like like Capcom did with Resident Evil 4, or they had the exclusivity deal with Nintendo and it was exclusive to the GameCube, and once the exclusivity deal ran out, because it was set for a certain time, they decided to release it on the PS2. So it could actually be a lot longer than a year or maybe even 6 months. But right now, they are 100% focused on only working on the Xbox One and Xbox 360 versions of the game. So,
which, considering the fact that the PS4 is pretty much the same as the Xbox One, means they're pretty much doing the PS4 version at the same time.
But see, who knows? Like, maybe Crystal Dynamics won't even touch the PS4 version. They'll probably hand it off to a different studio to port it over.
I'm thinking about Microsoft right now, and I'm wondering, man, at first I was wondering, Microsoft must really have wanted this game. And, I mean, it does help them for sure, but, goodness, because they're not only forking over all that money, now they're paying all that money, and they're doing the work. So, and I was wondering, why would they do that? And then I started to think about Sony and PlayStation, and the sparkling reputation that it built up with developers leading up to and after its launch. It was always known as, oh, this is the company that's out to help everybody and to do everything. And it seems, because this isn't the first time I've heard Microsoft doing something like this. Oh, we'll publish the game, we'll do the work. I'm wondering if Microsoft is in part doing this to really bolster its PR, its reputation. With everyone, because this news gets out. I mean, listen, we're on a podcast. It's getting out right now.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an interesting move. That's an interesting move. Yeah, I don't think that it's going to be worth that much when it comes out to PlayStation gamers. I really don't. I mean, by then, what I heard was that this wasn't even like a main Tomb Raider game. It was kind of like an off story somewhere. That's what I heard. I don't know if I'm correct.
As far as I know, it's the sequel to the reboot.
Yeah.
Oh, it's the sequel. It's a sequel. Okay.
You're probably thinking of Temple of Osiris, which was a spin-off.
Okay, it was a spin-off. All right, so I mean, I'm saying it probably won't be worth that much when it comes out because it'll already have been around. So I guess that it's good for Square because you don't have to do anything and you still make millions of dollars. Hey, it sounds like a good deal to me, you know. And not only that, but you get Microsoft support and doing the work with the actual game. That's valuable.
Yeah, see, now it's kind of like a three-way split for sales now, because now Microsoft has to make their money, Square has to get a piece of the pie, and Crystal Dynamics as well. So now instead of getting profits from two ways, you have to split it three-way.
So we'll see how it performs. That's going to be that's going to be the whole the whole test, the moment of truth as far as whether Microsoft's efforts are worth it.
Yeah, I would also like to add Tomb Raider, the 2013 Tomb Raider reboot, has now sold 7.5 million copies. I don't know if that includes the definitive edition that released on PS4 and Xbox One, but I'm thinking it does, quite honestly. But 7.5 million copies is pretty good for a reboot. But we'll see what this one does and how it plays out in the future. I mean,
I also want to add the fact that Microsoft paid $100 million for GTA 4 DLC.
Wait, what?
Are you serious?
Say that again?
They did! The GTA 4 DLC, yeah.
Yeah.
Say that again?
Grand Theft Auto 4.
They spent how much?
$100 million for the exclusivity of the Grand Theft Auto 4 DLC.
Wow.
The two DLC packs that they released, yeah. I remember that, and eventually it did come to PS3, but it came like a year and a half to 2 years later.
Yeah.
It was a long exclusivity deal. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's, I guess, $10 million to pay Square Enix isn't too much, I guess.
Yeah. $10 million for a whole game.
Now I'm starting to think if like Rockstar randomly threw out a number thinking Microsoft wouldn't pay it, and they did, like, oh, okay, $100 million in our pocket.
I wouldn't be surprised if Rockstar just had a dartboard. They just had some numbers on it and they threw a dart wherever it landed on. Yeah, we'll charge them that.
Wow.
Oh, we got a bullseye, 100 million. That'll do.
I guess we know what funded Red Dead Redemption 2.
And GTA 5.
All right.
And Slenderman.
So moving on now, let's talk a little bit about Batman Arkham Knight. This is the third Batman game being developed by Rocksteady Games. It's coming out on PS4, Xbox One, and PC. Set for, June 2nd release. Been pushed back twice now. It's supposed to come out October of last year. But interesting news came out. Batman Arkham Knight is actually being rated by the ESRB M for Mature. This is the first Batman game by Rocksteady, or actually I think anybody, to be rated M for Mature. And it's not because of blood or gore, it's because of, from what I can gather, it's from the subject matters that they show in the game. There's a nice little interview that happened with IGN where they kind of talked about how it came to be that the game got an M rating. They go on, let's see, who was it? Pretty much the head director and the creator of Batman Arkham Knight, Stephen Hill. In his interview with IGN, he said that early in the development process, Hill received an email from Warner Brothers that could have drastically changed the game's direction. Warner Brothers did a ratings analysis on Arkham Knight and pointed out key scenes that will cause serious issues. He goes on to say, I was really freaked out because the solution was to lose the scenes completely, which he pretty much says that he'd have to delete the scenes. But they were key scenes and we couldn't lose them. I got the email, I freaked out, I thought this was going to destroy the game. Everything I'm passionate about. I was building myself up for this big argument, I didn't get much sleep. I got on the phone the next day with Ames Kreshen, the VP of product at Warner Brothers Interactive. The first thing he asked me was what I wanted to do. So Hill went on to say, Oh, let's see. So Hill told him, and that was it. He pretty much told him that this was a passionate project. He did not want to cut these scenes. Um, so pretty much what had happened was from the subject matter, the scenes in the game were obviously very strong scenes that would probably kind of ruin the story. After he got on the phone and the email happened, Warner Brothers pretty much kind of said that keep your vision. They didn't want to change the vision of the game, and they'll kind of take the loss on the sales because obviously the teen-rated games will sell a lot more than the M-rated games because adults would have to go with them and buy it. So Warner Brothers kind of stepped up and said, instead of forcing you to change the game, we want you to keep your vision and not damage it in any way. So it's very interesting. M-rated. What do you guys think? Batman Arkham Knight, M rating.
Ben, rated B for Batman.
That's it. Just B for Batman.
I don't know. I'm not. Don't know. I don't know. I don't even know.
He says, I'm not blind to the fact that the M rating does mean some fans will miss out. I don't want to be oblivious to that fact. It would have been wrong for us to water down the game and deliver a story we didn't believe in to keep the game mass market or enable it for more people. We feel it was the wrong way to go about it. We said we love the story and we don't want to jeopardize it.
To be honest, how long ago since Arkham City? Well, Arkham Origins.
It's been about two years, I believe.
Chances are, a lot of the people that played Arkham Origins, I know it sounds weird, but a lot of them will become old enough to play M-rated games by now anyway. Even those, since playing Arkham City, because I skipped Origins. So those who played Arkham City last, will definitely be old enough to play an M-rating game now anyway. So chances are half the people that are going to be buying it are old enough anyway. That played the previous ones.
Mm-hmm.
If they're old enough in the first place to play them without adult supervision.
But do you think it's okay for them to sacrifice those sales in order to keep their vision, or should they have submitted and given in to the mass market?
God, no, you should always stick to your vision because, what's the point of making the game if you're not going to enjoy making it? It's going to make the game worse because you're trying to sort of...
Now, let's be honest here. Any gamer under 17 who wants this game is probably going to get this game. I mean, let's be honest. I've worked in an middle school, 6th to 8th graders. These kids are playing Assassin's Creed and whatnot, and other M-rated games, and it's not a big deal. They just say to their parents, "Hey, I'd like this game." And their parents don't really even look at the rating or what it means. They just buy it for them, or they save their own money and somehow maybe they get someone to buy it themselves, And really, the ratings mean something, but a lot of kids just somehow get their hands on the game anyway,
Mm.
Plus, it's Batman. Mommy, Daddy, can I get the new Batman game? Oh, it's Batman. There can't be anything wrong with that.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, I personally think this is fantastic news. Obviously, they were allowed to keep their vision, but this also raises an interesting question going forward. If says now that Batman Arkham Knight has got an M rating, something that we obviously know Warner Brothers really didn't want, but they decided to let it happen. Could this mean now that in the future we might get, say, a Wonder Woman game that's rated M? Because Wonder Woman is actually kind of violent if you haven't read her comics. But could this now allow maybe, say, NetherRealm Studios to create Mortal Kombat versus DC Universe 2 and have it be what Mortal Kombat is, super violent and bloody? Is this like a step forward for comic book video games at least? Because a lot of them, Marvel, DC kind of don't want their characters to be seen in this M-rated universe. They kind of want to keep it down to teen.
Well, let me put it this way. With arguments, and I don't mean just like fighting at each other, I mean actual arguments bringing up two different points. There are different things called fallacies, which are usually considered invalid arguments. There's one fallacy called the slippery slope fallacy, and how it works is you have someone who says, well, if this happens, then before you know it, that happens. For example, if we allow gay marriage, before long, we'll start allowing bestiality. And so that's why we can't have gay marriage. That's a slippery slope fallacy, because bestiality and gay marriage have absolutely nothing to do with each other. And just because you allow one does not, in fact, mean that you'll allow the other. It is not a step in that direction. It just means you're allowing gay marriage. That's what it is. So that's what I'm feeling here. Can you repeat your question for me, just so I know I'm on the right track?
Yeah, I was simply asking, like, is this kind of a step forward for, say,
Right.
Marvel or even DC to allow their, superheroes, pretty much, their heroes, to be in these kind of M-rated games where there's blood, there's gore, things like that? Like, is there a possibility of NetherRealm Studios making a sequel to Mortal Kombat versus DC with fatalities this time?
I'm not going to say it's not a possibility, but what I am going to say is don't use the slippery slope fallacy. There's no such thing here as, oh, well, if we allow M-rated games M-rated in this game, well, now we have to have it in this game, or now we can do it in this game. It could happen, but I mean, it will really just depend on Warner Brothers and their opinion. Just because they did it here does not mean, oh, well, we did it here, guess we can now do it in other places too. I still think that they have their reasons for keeping these characters in these ways, and it also depends on the type of game, because let's not forget, these are characters that are heavily marketed toward kids. Batman's a little more dark, he's a little more edgy, which is why things like that work for him. But when you have like the Flash, you had Teen Titans, which are Robin and Beast Boy and all of that stuff. I mean, these are the Flash. You had Young Justice not too long ago. These are things that are heavily marketed toward younger people as well. And so to have too many of them in M-rated situations, probably something that they don't want to do. Or if they do want to do so, they would have to make it extremely clear. They would have to really sell that game that way to make it clear this is a game for adults, it's not a game for kids. So it's something that works well for Batman just because of the kind of character that Batman is. But we really aren't in the place to assume that now that this has happened for Batman, it's going to start happening for everyone else, because there are a lot of reasons for Warner Brothers to still keep the reins on their characters and make sure that they're portrayed in certain ways that are friendly toward large audiences.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Ben?
I don't believe in the I don't believe this will lead to a DC universe, because the chances are this is not that like Marvel, Mortal Kombat style violence and bloody and executions and stuff like that. I don't think it will lead to anything like that, because of the fact that, again, like you said, they're still very tight-handed with the game. So I can see that. I don't think we'll see anything like that happen because of that. Just because it's a bit more moody, a bit more. Chances are we won't see anything close to fatalities in this Batman game.
Oh,
we might see some shocking scenes, but nothing really bad.
I mean, we don't know what the scenes portray. It could be, torture. It could be something else that would give it the M rating. They said it's not because of blood or gore.
Yeah, I can see it being psychological torture because of Scarecrow.
Most likely, yes.
Yeah. So, which I don't think that any way would see a Mortal Kombat.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would like to see it. That'd be amazing.
I agree. I think it would be great to see, the Mortal Kombat and DC with fatalities if they did a sequel to Mortal Kombat versus DC. But obviously they edited that game kind of heavily too. I remember Joker's fatality. They kind of moved the camera scene away after people complained from his fatality, which wasn't really that bad, but it was actual fatality. And
yeah, because it's censored in Europe, where the screen just goes black, and you just hear a bang. Yeah,
see, for you guys it goes black. In the North America, they just kind of panned away from the victim and just showed the Joker shooting his gun, and that was pretty much it. But But obviously, DC had a lot to say about that fatality. I mean, we see people in other games getting shot in the head all the time. But obviously, they did not want to see that with their characters. But I agree with you guys. I think this is kind of just a one shot. I think Warner Brothers really trusts Rocksteady, so they kind of allowed this to happen. Obviously, they wanted it gone. They had a conversation. He convinced them that it was crucial to keep these scenes in, and they kind of went with it. Sales-wise, I actually think this is going to raise sales dramatically even more now, because it's one of those things where the more controversial something is, the more people want to see it. And this is one of those things people are going to see. Why did this game get an M rating? I mean, this is Batman. You know, he doesn't kill people. What's so bad that they have to get an M rating for this game? And I think it's actually going to boost sales just because of that. But yeah, the Arkham Knight comes out June 2nd across all platforms except Nintendo, obviously. So stay tuned for that. That looks really good. They released a new trailer, very dark and gritty trailer, so you can see where they're going and the direction they're going with the story there. But yeah, let's move on here. Let's head to Nintendo and Amiibos for a second. We all know Amiibos, right? Little cute little toys selling like hotcakes for Nintendo.
Yeah, they're selling pretty well, which is amazing. I really didn't think that they'd take off like they have, but they've been doing pretty well.
Well, I have some. I like them. I think they're very detailed, very well crafted. They don't seem very cheap. But Nintendo recently released statistics of the best-selling Amiibos and the best sell-through Amiibos. Now, what the sell-through means is the Amiibos that are no longer in circulation. In a way, like they still are, but some of them are not. Pretty much is what they're saying. They released them across all regions: North America, Europe, Japan, Australia, even. So I'm not gonna read through all of them. I'll probably give you the top 5 and the top 5 most wanted ones. So in North America, the 5 best selling Amiibos are Link, Mario, Pikachu, Kirby, and Samus, in that order. And the best sell-through ones are Marth, the Animal Crossing Villager, Wii Fit Trainer, and Pit. And in the UK, it's kind of the same order. It's Link, Mario, Pikachu, Yoshi, Samus as the best-selling ones. And the best sell-through ones are Little Mac, Rosalina, Animal Crossing Village, Princess Zelda, and Marth. I find this list very interesting. Simply because, obviously, the ones in the sell-through are no longer in circulation. At least most of them are. I know Marth isn't, the Wii Fit Trainer isn't, the Villager isn't, the Little Mac is not. What do you guys think? Like, do you think a lot of these sell-through ones will be higher on the list if Nintendo was continuing to sell them, or what do you think in general about? Like, are you surprised by these lists, or what do you think? Let's go with you, Ben.
I live in Europe, so I don't have any issue with this stock. I hear you have so much issue with your stock of getting Amiibos, but I just walk into town and go, oh look,
so
there's some Amiibos.
Find me some of these ones no longer available. I'll totally buy them from you.
Yeah. I'll see.
Oh, sweet. Any surprises to you on this list?
Not really, to be honest. I'd expect Pikachu to be higher, to be honest.
Yeah.
But apart from that,
I don't think it's any surprise that Link is number 1.
Yeah.
On any list. I believe he's number 1 in Japan and Australia, everywhere. Actually, Australia number 1 is Mario. But well, what about you? What about you, Glenn?
Honestly, all I really have to say is that it's amazing how Nintendo's handled this. They didn't just create these toys. They gave them different values. There are rare ones. There are some that you can't get anymore. They're collectibles now in a certain way. And I think that's just really brilliantly handled as far as Nintendo's concerned. Not surprised about the list. I agree with Ben. I thought Pikachu would be higher, either number 1 or number 2. So I don't have too much to say about it. I think it's just a really interesting system they've got going on here.
Mm-hmm. Now, I believe the last we heard from Nintendo, they have sold over 5.7 million amiibos, which is a lot. 5.7 times $12.99.
And yet they can't put a charger in the new 3DS. Come on.
Yeah.
Hey.
Also, recently announced. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ben.
Like I say, we haven't had a charger since the original 3DS, so you just feel our pain.
Oh, you don't get the chargers in yours, do you? In the UK?
No, not with the normal 3DS, no.
Doesn't make sense.
Because money saving. The country they charge the most for, they need to save money for.
Mm-hmm. That's how it goes.
I will say one thing here. What's very interesting about these lists is none of the figures that were retail exclusive made any of these lists, at least in the top 10 at least. Some of the retail exclusive were Little Mac, or not Little Mac, sorry, Shulk from Xenoblade Chronicles, Meta Knight from Kirby. He was exclusive to Best Buy. None of those made the list because they're probably impossible to find at this point.
Well, no one cares about those characters. I hate to say it like that, but I mean, if you have a choice between Kirby and Meta Knight, there are a lot of people who would go for Meta Knight, don't get me wrong, but most people are probably going to go for Kirby. I mean, it's just that those Shulk, I mean, the ones that are really successful, those are the more popular characters. And the ones that are not on the list, the ones that were these retail exclusives, I mean, they're kind of secondary, aren't they? I mean, it's not like it's a special edition Mario or something like that. It's Shulk, it's Meta Knight. These are the secondary characters, whereas the main characters are just freely available. So I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that the retail exclusive ones are not on the list. They're beyond just being retail exclusive. They're just not as popular characters.
Mm-hmm. Well, Nintendo announced recently that amiibos are in the future will actually unlock games for you to play. One of the demonstrations they showed off is the Mario amiibo will actually unlock Super Mario Brothers for you to play. It won't be the entire game. I believe it's going to be a timed version of the game, or it's going to be a demo. They weren't very specific, but I think that's a great idea. I mean, scan Donkey Kong, get to try Donkey Kong Country, for free. So
that's insane.
Yeah, they announced that, which I think is really cool.
They announced it after it sold out, so people that would want to do it can't do it now.
Yeah. There's obviously more coming. I believe they just released Wave 3, which includes Mega Man and Sonic and Ike. Mega Man is already really hard to find, so is Sonic. So if you see him and you like amiibos and you want to just get them for collection, go for it.
Or just visit Europe.
Now, Glenn, you said something about a special edition Mario, and there is a special edition Mario amiibo.
Okay.
Nintendo. It was rumored for a while that Nintendo was going to release a gold figure. Obviously, he's not made out of real gold, but a gold Mario amiibo. This is rumored for a while, and actually, I believe 2 days ago, they confirmed that it's coming. They announced that it's going to be a Walmart exclusive, and there's only going to be 5,200 of them available. Sure enough, obviously, when Nintendo says it's going to be limited, it's going to sell like hotcakes. As they announced it, they said the pre-orders are now available, and within about 10 minutes, they all sold out on Walmart.com from their website. It retailed for $12.96. They sold out in 15 minutes, and pretty much the next day, people put them on eBay. And right now, the highest listed one is about $239 for this gold Mario amiibo. And that's just stupid. What do you think of this, Glenn?
It's how much?
Right now, it's retailing for the highest bid or the highest listing on eBay for it is $239. He paid $12.96 for something that's not even out yet. That's just a pre-order.
Well, I think you know what I think about this. I think that you asking for you would be completely redundant. You know exactly what I think of this. But for our listeners, I'll just say that I think that's completely stupid. It's a piece of plastic, whatever. It's a collectible. I guess what I can say is I'm not surprised. Because collectibles tend to do that. I mean, take a look at the freaking limited edition PlayStation 4. Someone paid $100-something thousand for it, except in Japanese yen, was it?
Yeah.
I mean,
it was something really high. I don't know.
This is just a little piece of plastic, so I guess I'm not surprised. For collectors, I'm not surprised, but for me, that's absolutely ridiculous.
You do know that ended up.
Sorry.
You do know that ended up as a false bid.
The 100-something thousand.
Yeah.
Well,
no, they didn't pay it.
Oh, he didn't end up paying it.
No. So what Sony did was they donated a load of money to charity instead.
Okay. Well, I mean, someone still did actually buy it for like $20,000, which is a $400 system. So. That's crazy.
Yeah, well, Nintendo also said that this Gold Mario will be very limited in stock, and it will actually release with Mario Party 10 as a bundle. So if you're lucky enough to get Mario Party 10 when it comes out on March 20th, you may get a chance to get this amiibo as well.
Also, carry on.
No, go ahead.
Also, if you really want some super special, super smelly, smuggly, fudge chocolate, amazing amiibos, remember you can also buy super rare amiibos from Toys R Us. Some guy is going to be selling custom-made amiibos on Toys R Us website in America. There'll be a Cosmic Mario, some other Cosmic Pikachu, and a blue Samus. These are just someone that's painted the amiibos, pretty much. And he's going to be selling them on Toys R Us.
You know what one I would buy if they made a custom one? Yeah. Donkey Kong. I would buy Donkey Kong.
I would buy Super Wario's.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, so if you're an amiibo guy and you love to collect them, good luck getting this gold amiibo. Unless you're willing to pay that price, maybe you can rob somebody on their way out, I guess, from the store as they're picking.
Don't do that. Don't
do that. That was a joke. I was joking.
Just enjoy your Cosmic Mario. Go get one of those instead.
Yeah.
Or your Cosmic Pikachu.
Well, Glenn,
yes.
I think you have your favorite time. This is your favorite time right now, isn't it?
I guess.
Glenn, it is time for MPD numbers.
All right, but before that, really quickly, this is just a quick announcement. If you have, I mean, it was announced on the 12th of February, so you already know. But PlayStation Network sub-accounts, if you have a sub-account, it's an account you got when you were under 18 and thus ineligible for a master account. At least I think it was 18. Yeah, 18. And you were ineligible for a master account. You were not ever able to upgrade your sub-account, which limits you really strongly on PlayStation Network, on what you can do in the network. You were not able to upgrade to master accounts. As of the 12th of February, it was announced on the PlayStation blog that you can now upgrade your sub-account to a master account. You can only do this on the web, but compatibility for upgrading with the PlayStation 4 is expected pretty soon. So go ahead and upgrade those accounts as soon as possible because you're missing out. Hopefully they'll allow you to change your name next.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think that'll ever happen.
Sorry. Before you get to MPDs, though, Glenn, I want to pose a question to our listeners. You can respond to my question through Twitter or however it is you feel to respond. My question is, It goes with the amiibos. My question is, do you guys feel? You guys don't have to answer it, Glenn, Ben, right now. Maybe if people answer it next week. Do you guys feel that amiibos are becoming a serious threat to the Skylanders and Disney Infinity figures that pretty much do the same thing as the amiibos do, but obviously they're used for full-on games? So I kind of want to pose that question for next week, if that's okay.
Sure thing. Actually, you should put it on Twitter, too.
I will put it on Twitter. Thank you.
Go for it.
Go with the MPDs, Glenn. You have the floor.
All right. MPD figures are amazing because they let us know how things are doing in the world of video gaming. And every month these figures come out, and these are the figures for January. Apologies, they're a little late. We didn't record last week, or I think the year before. We took a little break, but we're back. So you're probably familiar with these already by now, but we have to, of course, do a little analysis. Let's do a quick run through. Overall, here's some information. Overall retail sales in video gaming were down 5% from last year. Hardware sales also down by a whopping 23% from last year. By the way, never mind. Excuse me. I was going to say something stupid. Retail software is up by an unknown percent from last year. To be announced, it says. Let's take a look at software. Now, the way NPD does this, it lists the name of the game, and then it lists several different systems. It lists those systems in order from highest sales to lowest sales. So let's take a look here. Dying Light is at number 1 as far as software sales. It sold best on the PS4, followed by Xbox One, and then PC. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, unsurprisingly, number 2. Xbox One, then PS4, then 360, then PS3, then PC. Grand Theft Auto 5, Xbox One, PS4, 360, then PS3. Minecraft, 360, PS3, Xbox One, and then PS4. NBA 2K15, Xbox One, PS4, 360, PS3, PC. Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, and then the 3DS. Far Cry 4, PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3, PC. Madden NFL 15, Xbox One, PS4, 360, and PS3. Destiny number 9, Xbox One, PS4, 360, PS3. FIFA 15, PS4, Xbox One, 360, PS3, Wii Vita 3DS. Quick notes here. January 2015, Dying Light had the highest first month of sales for new IP in the survival horror genre, exceeding the previous record, which was The Evil Within, which launched in October 2014. That comes from NPD analyst Liam Callahan. Smash Bros. For Wii U sold 90,000 units, 1.4 million LTD. Not sure what that means, but digital... Oh, launch to date, I think is what that means. So 1.4 million in total sold so far, but 90,000 in January. And that includes both digital and retail copies. By the way, those 10 games I listed earlier, they do not include bundles, and they do not include digital sales. Those were just for retail copies of the games. Smash Brothers for 3DS also sold about 90,000, but 2.1 million sold from launch to date, both digital and retail. Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire sold 150,000 units, 2.7 million launched to date so far. Wii U software is nearly up 45% from last year, and the Xbox One had more game sales per console than any other platform. So, what are the comments about this, guys? Any surprises here for you?
No surprises for me. Quite honestly, I expected Dying Light to be the highest selling game. A lot of people were really hyped for that. I won't really put it in the survival horror genre, quite honestly, but I guess that's where it goes. I am actually a little surprised by Minecraft and the fact that it's selling more on the previous gen consoles than on the new ones. I thought that was really interesting. I still find it interesting that it's a Microsoft game now and it's on the PS4 and the PS3. I find that quite entertaining. It's nice to see Smash Brothers still on the list. It hasn't really moved from its spot that much. But obviously Call of Duty is probably going to be on that list up until
The next Call of Duty?
It'll still... actually, there's the big surprise. There's no Call of Duty Ghost on the list.
I know, right? Actually, I was a little surprised at number 6, Super Smash Brothers, because it sold better on the Wii U than it did the 3DS.
Yes.
So that was a happy little surprise. I'm glad it's doing really well on the Wii. Actually, it's not that surprising because the console version has always been the definitive version of the game. And it's great that there's a handheld version now too, but I mean, I saw a friend playing it. I haven't played it myself, so take this with some salt, but I feel like it's just better on a console than on the handheld, you know?
Yeah, but it still hasn't surpassed the total sales.
No, it hasn't. But don't forget that the 3DS had a big head start.
Yeah, it had about a month and a half head start.
And not to mention, many more people have a 3DS than have a Wii U.
Yeah.
So there's that. Ben, what do you think?
I think that new IP, the Call of Duty, is doing pretty well. I can't believe it's doing so well in sales.
It's brand new.
I heard they're going to have a new game out this year. I can't believe it.
Who'd have thunk it, right?
I know.
Oh my goodness. Let's talk about hardware real quick. Xbox One had a couple months where it was ahead over the holidays, and kudos to Microsoft on that. However, for January, the PlayStation 4 took the #1 spot back. And Xbox One is in second place, followed by the Wii U. Listen to this. Xbox One claims to have the best January ever. Now, when did this come out? It came out in 2013, so 2014 was its first January. Now we're at 2015, so it's its second January. And I guess its second January is its best January ever. I guess that's true. I guess that's technically true, but I just can't stop myself from rolling my eyes. Like that's such a stupid statement. That's just such a ridiculous statement. I'm just rolling my eyes. If the thing had been out for a few years, great, but it's only been through one January. So kudos on the improvement, but best January ever doesn't mean a whole lot right now. But it sounds good, so there's that. Wii U is up nearly 30% from last year, a bit under 63.7 thousand units sold in January for the Wii U. So that's pretty good. What do you guys think of all this hardware?
Well, I'm definitely having the best February I've ever had.
Oh, really?
Nah, I'm just but no, that statement's weird. Microsoft a bit strange.
That is a weird statement.
I think the whole success of the PS4 last month, and the reason why it sold the best, and this is solid fact and based on truth, honest and solid, complete, factual, 100% proofness. It was because it was my birthday that month. That is cool. Why the PS4 sold so well, because obviously everyone went out in celebration of my birthday.
It had to sell well for your birthday.
Yeah, and they bought the PS4 in celebration.
There we go. All right.
Fact.
By the way, my friend's baby had his first birthday not too long ago. So happy birthday to you, buddy. I dare say that it's his best birthday ever.
Yeah. It's best birthday he's ever had.
Yeah, best one he's ever had. Some quick notes from the companies. It's a bit repetitive. I might skip around here. PlayStation 4 was top-selling console in January. This is from Sony, of course. Cumulative leader in the U.S. according to NPD data. 18.5 million PS4 units and 81.8 million software units sold through to consumers worldwide. 18.5, I think it might be higher by now, but they're not ready to release another number yet. So we'll see. Actually, I'm not sure they will until the 20 million mark, if they haven't crossed that already. That's it from Sony. Nintendo had a lot to say. I'll just skip around here because some of it's repetitive. Strong momentum for 2014, and that is carried over into 2015. Super Smash Brothers for Wii U was 90,000 units sold. 1.4 million total units sold in the US. I think we said that already. I'm bad at skipping around on these things. Right. February 13, the new Nintendo 3DS XL system will launch with 4 unique SKUs to choose from, but no charger. The new system will launch alongside The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask 3D and Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Exactly 1 month later, will launch Codename Steam, or Codename STEAM. They have dots after every letter for some reason. February 20th, Wii U fans get Kirby and the Rainbow Curse. In May, Splatoon, which it claims is one of the more anticipated titles of the year. All of this data regarding physical sales is from NPD Group. Digital downloads of games come from Nintendo's own sales figures. And again, NPD is not counting bundles or digital sales. All of this, by the way, is just for the United States. This does not include Europe or Asia or any other continent where these things are sold. Finally, Xbox, after closing a record-breaking holiday, 2015 is off to a great start. This is marketing corporate VP Mike Nichols, with record January sales for Xbox One and more game sales per console than any other platform. So that's that. That's it for NPD for January.
I'm very, very excited to see NPD results for February, especially on the hardware side. The reason is because of the new 3DS. Nintendo revealed after the first 4 days that the console came out on Friday, and they released a statement on Monday saying that within those 4 days, they had sold over 245,000 units in 4 days, just in North America. I'm very curious to see where it sits on the hardware sales list after that. I just wanted to point that out for February.
Oh, don't mind me. I'm just breaking my room.
Then again, it could also mean very little because of the issues they're having with the strikes at the docks in California, and a lot of Nintendo's products can't seem to get into to America because of that. So it might actually hurt their sales for February as well.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting. The beginning of the year is always, I think, going to be pretty interesting because we just passed through the holidays. You know, the holidays are gone, and this is the first time everything kind of settles again. So the beginning of the year is always really interesting, and I mean, Xbox is in a far better position than it was in this time last year. And the same could be said for the Wii U. So we will see what's going on. Things are heating up. Of course, Xbox One doesn't really have any exclusives for the first half of the year. Sony has a couple. The Order already came out to mediocre reviews and opinions.
But great sales.
Great sales. So we'll see. We'll see. I mean, I'm personally really looking forward to the Ratchet & Clank movie and the Ratchet & Clank game coming out for the PlayStation 4. That will be my birthday present to myself. Whenever I'm probably going to get a collector's edition if there is one. I love Ratchet & Clank. And I don't usually get collector's editions, just ask these guys.
Do we do MPD predictions for next month? Do we do that? Or is that something I just came up with in my head?
That is something you just came up with in your head, but I don't mind doing it.
I think we should do it.
Okay, well, how much time?
February NPD. Just really quick.
Okay.
Highest selling console, #1 game, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
Let's see. I think the highest selling console will be the PS4. Because of the boost from the Order.
Okay.
I don't think that... I mean, Xbox is going to sell well. Believe me, it's going to sell just fine. But again, it doesn't have that exclusive to come out. There isn't a lot for it to drive those sales besides the lower price. So I think that PS4 is going to sell better for February. Top game? What was the top game for this month? Is there anything coming out really soon here that I'm not thinking about?
There is stuff in March. The latest game that came out, the big latest game was Dragon Ball that came out last Tuesday.
No, that's not going to be on the top. I think it'll
Dragon Balls will be high in the thing because it's selling out everywhere.
It's selling it well.
It's selling out, but it is very late in February, so
Yeah.
it might not be as big.
I don't think it's gonna. I don't think it's gonna be on there. No. I mean, just because it's selling out, but it's also a niche game. It's kind of a niche game, you know. Not everyone's a Dragon Ball fan. Naruto, for example, Naruto Ultimate Ninja Storm. That's a great game, but not everyone likes Naruto. Not everyone likes anime. You know, it's more of a niche thing. So
Well, it's the first time this company's done Dragon Ball in a long time, and the previous one was a big success as well. That's helped with the sales.
okay,
That and the amount of people who pre-ordered. It's actually the collector's edition's been messed up because of it. I know my local, not my local game, but the one down another town from me. 10 people pre-ordered the collector's edition, and not a single one is getting it because they sold out before the pre-orders were done. And the sale is ridiculous. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see it in the top 10, or at least in the MPD somewhere.
right. Well, I don't believe it'll be number one. I think that number one.
Oh, not number one.
If something comes out, if something doesn't come out, I think Dying Light just might still be up there. When did Dying Light come out exactly?
Came out in January, end of January.
Yeah, I think Dying Light will probably be still up there. If not, maybe Call of Duty, but I think Call of Duty's done with being number one for now. I think it'll be Dying Light still.
What about you, Ben?
I want to say Call of Duty.
No. And what about hardware?
What's that? Sorry.
What about hardware?
Hardware. Oof. You know, I'm going to go with the grade. I'm going to say Xbox One.
Interesting.
Because, because especially with that new price drop on Xbox Live, $40. I don't know. I could see Xbox. I know that's nothing to do with the hardware, but I can see Xbox taking it this month.
Oh.
Maybe.
Well, I'm gonna go a little bit different on software. I'm gonna say The Order is gonna be number one. If it's not gonna be The Order, it'll be number two, and Majora's Mask will be number one. This time, but as far as hardware, I want to say the new 3DS, but because of the shipment issues that Nintendo is having, I'm gonna go with the PS4 on this one. That's our predictions.
All right.
I'm so tempted with a new 3DS, actually.
I'm not.
I'm going to wait until April, until Xenoblade Chronicles comes out, until I get mine.
I'm not. It's exactly the same freaking thing I just bought like a year ago. I'm not getting another one.
See, I bought my 3DS at launch, so...
Stupid Nintendo.
Well, that was NPDs, right?
That was NPDs.
Yeah.
We're done with NPDs.
Awesome. Well, before we go, Ben, I promised that you'll be able to talk about your
Yay!
of London, which, can I just say, when you talk about traveling in your country, it sounds like you're traveling from England to freaking Italy.
It feels like it, to be honest.
From one part of Europe to another.
Yeah. Feels like it at some points. I mean, that trip, I had to get a bus at 5:50 a.m. in the morning, and then I had to get a train at 7:30, and then I had to get a taxi from the train station to the event, so I could get there in time. And then I had to walk to the event as well because the taxi couldn't work out where it was. So yeah, it sure was travel. Hell, there's an event that's going on next week that I don't know if I can talk about, but I can't go to it anyway. I would have to for this one, I would have to get a train from here to York to Windsor, then get a taxi from Windsor to there. So yeah, it'd be ridiculous. But yeah, I enjoyed the event. Went to a Tecmo Koei event down in London. I got to play the new Dynasty Warriors game, the new Tokuden game, and the new Bladestorm game. Tokuden is a reimagining of in fact, they're all pretty much. Tokuden is a remake of the Vita version, but with new content added. They've added a gun class, they've added a spear class, and they've added a few new Oni and new battle system. they've redesigned the actual town itself as well. It will also have cross-play and cross-save with the new Vita version as well, which is also pretty cool. So you can play 4-player co-op with your Vita friends as well as your PS4 friends.
Huzzah.
Bladestorm, if you have the original Bladestorm, you can actually transfer the save over, I've read as well, which is pretty cool. Same with Dynasty Warriors 8. If you have your old save, you can transfer it over to Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires.
Cool.
In fact, Dynasty Warrior 8 is already out now. You can go buy it. It came out this week. So yeah, I met Mike for the first time.
I'm still waiting for that picture.
Yeah, I don't know why he hasn't sent that yet. I know my ugly face is in the picture, and I know that breaks most cameras, but you know, you should put it up sometime soon.
We also heard that you I can't say what I'm thinking, but you kind of got in the way of Mike's flirting.
Oh yeah, Mike decided to have a little chat with a I think it was Norwegian woman, if I'm rightly.
Mm-hmm.
She was she was a university student, in fact, that has come over to learn journalisms and be a games journalist in the beautiful UK. In fact, she used to write for a big newspaper in where she used to live, so I found it a bit weird that she came all the way here. Just why? If you're already writing for a big newspaper, why you come over here? You might as well just. But anyway, enough about that. But the funny thing is that I found out she stopped. Basically, while we were there, she was hanging around with us while we were playing games and talking to us all the time. But I left the event early because, you know, I have to travel the entire of Europe to get home.
Mm-hmm. It's true.
And after I left, she actually left Mike alone. So, yeah. Yeah. She got bored.
That's awesome.
She started talking to someone else.
But it's nice. Yeah. From what I hear, it was a fun event for you.
It was. I got to see my favorite.
I was a little disappointed to hear about Bladestorm being all mystical now, rather than kind of the more realistic idea of the 100-Year War between England and France.
That's only Nightmare mode.
Oh, so it's still like set in reality in a way, and Nightmare.
You've got the reality mode, the reality one, which is the standard, you know, how it was originally.
Oh, okay.
And then you got Nightmare, which is this like a spin-off. It's a separate. You got the whole original Bladestorm game redone for the PS4.
Mm-hmm.
You can, instead of just controlling one squad, you can control 4 squads. Though. That's all the same as it was before. Semi-realistic, you know, as realistic as Tecmo Koei games get. But then you have that fantasy one, which is completely separate. So yeah.
Interesting. Well, I'm glad you had fun, Ben. I hope you go to more events. I mean, I hope you don't get like lost and end up in Germany instead.
But at least I got to see my favorite community manager again.
Yes, you met Chin.
Yeah, he gave me a big hug. He asked how I was. He told me, hope the travel was good, and he actually wished me. He sent me a message saying, "I hope you got home safe."
Oh, that's so
nice.
Sweet.
Yeah, he's amazing, Chin. If you don't know who he is, then I recommend following him on Twitter. He's called at INSPCHIN. But warning, it's not very safe for work, his tweets. So if you're going to follow him, make sure you know that. Yeah.
Well, you know what else isn't safe for work? Your tweets, Ben. And where can people go to read your tweets?
You can read my tweets at Chili_UK. You can also stalk me on PSN as Chili. Ben.Shillabeer-Hall at psu.com. I've been taken at hotmail.com. You can stalk me anywhere pretty much. If you can find me on my amazing journeys.
Yes. You can also encounter him in Dragon Ball Xenoverse as Majin Chili.
Yeah, Majin Chili.
Which is pretty great. Glenn, where can people stalk you, I guess?
Good question. You don't stalk me, first of all. Second of all, you can follow me on Twitter at goglen_. And if you want to email me, you can just email 4geocast@gmail.com. 4geocast@gmail.com. Actually, you can probably contact all of us that way, because it's our 4geo email. I'll just forward it to whoever. So contact me there. I used to give my personal email, or not my personal, my PSU email address, but then that email address started getting spam. So now I don't.
Damn spammers.
By the way, if you want to play a game with me, go ahead and just send me, tweet me, email me your game info. And I have Xbox One, I have PS4, I play Guild Wars 2, League of Legends. You can just let me know. I'll give you my info. I'll friend you. We'll play some games. Oh, by the way, DJ Sona came out on League of Legends, by the way, and people are playing her all the time, whether they're good at Sona or not, and that is frustrating. Just wanted to say
that. They're also raging out because they changed the forest level, from what I hear.
Oh, did they? I don't know.
Yeah, people are raging out like crazy.
People are always raging about something stupid on League of Legends.
Did you hear about that email? I think it was an email that I can't remember what it was. No, Kotaku article, I think it was, about them complaining to parents about turning their kids' PC off while they're playing League of Legends. Yeah, when they go, they're supposed to go, log off for bed. Kotaku made a whole article about, I know your kid, you got to do, have your kids have like rules and bedtimes, but him disconnecting halfway through a match, it's going to ruin the stats of his entire team. Oh, you shouldn't allow that to happen. Like the parents, half the parents will even know what stats mean, what they actually mean. I know they'll know what statistics mean, but what they're talking about. You'll just think, oh, it's 9 p.m. time for you to get off.
Right.
Well, you guys can reach me at Gaglaoush on Twitter. That's GAGLAUSH. I also like to game out with you guys if you want. You can reach me on PSN. Same name, Gaglaoush. Just send me a message. Please tell me where you're from. If you just send me a message, I probably won't take you as a friend. Just tell me how you know me. And just play some games. I'll play some PC games with you, but I can't right now because my video card is failing, and I have to build a new PC. So no PC gaming for me right now.
Oh, fun!
I know. I'm sad.
Oh.
It's sad stuff. But before we go, I believe we do this now. We do the music stuff now, right, Glenn?
Yeah. What do you? The credit? Yeah.
Yes. Well, the song you heard at the beginning of the show, I believe the intro, is called "The 5 Minutes of Glory." It is by Ivan Hackstock and wild_cat, Expert Novice, and Jin Wake from Super Final Match Tennis.
That's the game, I think, right?
Yes, it sounds like Super Final Match Tennis. Mm-hmm. I'm excited to hear this. Both from OC Remix. The outro, I should probably give you the outro. The outro is called Dynasty. It is remixed by Amphibious and Superior X, and it is from Mega Man 4. You can get these from OC Remix, right, Glenn?
You sure can.
Huzzah.
Huzzah.
Now, I personally requested a Streets of Rage song, but there's copyright issues with that, so that's not going to happen.
Yes, you can download this stuff for free, guys. It's good music for gamers. OC Remix is a great community, really talented people there, and all the stuff there is free, like just free music. Free music for gamers. Can't beat that. OCRemix.org.
Yeah.
Overclocked Remix.
Now, well, thanks for joining us again, guys. This was episode 6 of 4 Gamers Only. Stay tuned for our next episode. It should be fun. Mm-hmm. I hope it's going to be fun.
Actually, Gary, I think you got the name wrong. We're not 4 Gamers Only at all.
We're not. We're not.
I think Ben knows our name.
Oh, yeah. It's something else. Something with an animal. What is it?
Yeah. Just remember, we're all fortified goats on site.
See you next week, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.